Hey there, friends. Pastor Jason here. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks. I got sick. Now I'm back at it. This is our third video on how to choose a church. So last time I recorded a video was just how to find a church in this day and age. Now we're coming from the standpoint of you've decided on where to go. What should you expect when you go to church on a Sunday morning? So first up, you're going to roll up to church. There may or may not be parking. There may or may not be. I've seen things where, there's no parking lot at all. You just park on the street. I've seen things where you just park into a very massive parking lot, but it's just a couple of cars there. I've seen it where you've had parking attendants helping you find a place to park. I've seen it where you had local cops shutting down the road, letting access for parking in and out of church. So it could, depending upon your scenario, it could be one of many things. And when you get there, you finally get your spot and you start walking in, you might see people with all sorts of bags and maybe baked goods or something to eat or coffee mugs or whatever. Don't worry, you did not have to bring any of that stuff. When you get to the front doors, there might be several different entrances. Depending upon the type of person you are, you might choose a side entrance, but there might be greeters at the front entrance. They're there just to say hi, hold the door open for you. If it's your first time, they'll probably ask you because greeters usually know who attends the church, and they might talk you up a little bit, see how they might help you or point you in the direction. They might even let you know which way the bathrooms are, right? Good idea to know where the bathrooms are. There's also another step. Maybe there might be an info booth where if you have a question about the church or if you have a question about the service or any of the various ministries that you might hear about that Sunday, the info booth is your place. You'll probably be able to get your question answered there. So next you're going to walk into the sanctuary, and there, you might have folding chairs, you might have nice comfy chairs, you might have pews, you might have a balcony section. Find a spot to sit down. It's okay. And, prepare your heart to meet with the Lord. And there's probably going to be maybe some prelude kind of music, whether it's someone playing a piano or maybe they've got some music thumping through the sound system or whatever. And then eventually worship's going to happen. And it could be anything. It could be from, just all hymns, or it could be like full band and lasers and smoke pots. It could be all sorts of stuff where you pull out a hymnal still and you read music. There might be words on big giant screens for you to know to help you sing. So be prepared to worship. Sometimes you'll stand through the whole thing. Maybe you'll have to sit through some of it. I encourage you, if you ever need to sit down, sit down. It's okay. It's okay. Some people always ask about tithing when they go to church. Yeah, tithing's a thing, and I encourage you to do so. But how it's collected nowadays might be a little different. Some might have you give on your phone. Some might have little boxes in the back that you stuff your money into. Some might still pass plates around and at some point in the service, and you just put a little money in the plate and pass it along. That's how that works in most churches. And then you're going to get to the sermon section, right? And the sermon, he's going to have notes. He's going to read from his Bible. Maybe there's a Bible. If you don't have one, you can use your phone, or you can, sometimes there's a Bible in the chair in front of you. And if you're not a Bible scholar, don't feel embarrassed. Go to the very front of the Bible. There's a table of contents so that you can quickly find the book or the passage that the pastor is preaching from. Sermon should last you about 30 to 45 minutes. The whole time should last you, in most churches, like an hour to hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half. Some denominations, certain styles of churches, they can go on for several hours. Probably a good reason to check up on their website and sample their worship. sample a service, see how long it is. Now, you might be wondering about communion, and that's a good question at the info booth, like who's allowed to take communion and when communion happens. Not all churches do communion every Sunday. Some do it once a month, some do it once a quarter, some do it every week. And just there's lots of styles of doing that. Passing the elements amongst all the people, going on up, and taking it from the pastor or priest up front. Find out. That's a good question of the info booth people or your greeter people. Ask them right when you walk in the door, hey, is today Communion Sunday? And if so, how does that work? I'm sure they'd be more than happy to oblige you. Now, I've raced through all those things because they're important, but what's most important is the hospitality of the people. How are the people treating a newcomer as they come in? Are you someone who is not even greeted? Someone who no one even says hello to? Are you given a hug by somebody? Does someone come up to you and say, hey, my name's so-and-so. I've never seen you here. How long you been coming? Hey, it's our first week. I'm sure they'd be glad to talk to you. Maybe you might get an invitation out to lunch the next day. Get a feel for the people there. Now, just because you aren't embraced the very first week doesn't mean these aren't friendly people that you've come to church with. Breaking into social circles takes time. It's not a light switch that you just flip on and off. So give it, if you enjoy the service and the technical pieces of the service, let the relationships, let it take time. It's okay. It's okay. Also, think about your spirit. Is your spirit challenged by the worship and the sermon and what was presented to you during that service time? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel encouraged? Or was it something that was not really to your liking? If that's the case, hey, don't turn off looking for a church. It might just mean the Lord wants you somewhere else, and that's okay. That's going to be what we're going to address next week. We're going to be talking about, is the church meeting your needs? And how can you be a part of meeting other people's needs? So we'll be talking about that next week. But that's all I've got. This is very simple, straightforward. Hey, what to expect when you show up to a church? All sorts of things are going to happen in that hour and a half, from parking your car to getting back to it and leaving for lunch. I hope this video is somewhat helpful to you. It's just something I wanted to make sure I got out. And hey, more importantly, you go on out, be blessed, be a blessing to those around you, and I will talk to you next week as we look at how the church meets our spiritual needs, and just kind of taking an inventory of that in your own heart and how you could be a part of someone else's solution. With that, I'll see you next week.